Hey family, it's Tasha MAMABEAR Prepping. Welcome to the channel. Welcome back to the channel. I hope you had a fantastic weekend. We did here. And let's get into it and let's get into the week. So today we're going to talk about a little bit about gardening, but specifically what I want to talk about is the benefits of raised beds. You know, a lot of folks ask me sometimes about raised beds and why do I prefer raised beds and why do I have containers for certain things, and everything has a purpose and has a reason. You know, obviously I started gardening that way because of the space that I had. I had a small patio in an apartment, and then we shifted. I have a much bigger space, much bigger garden. I have a huge patio, and I have half an acre, which is a lot for growing some food. And but I can get so much done in a smaller space and even add to that and keep adding to that without actually taking away from my other spaces with container gardens and with raised beds. So raised beds, some of the reasons why I like it. The number one reason I like it is for the impact that it has on your body, right? The, you know, a concern for me is my back, my knees, my hips, right? And so the ability to be able to garden for as long as possible is another aspect of that, right? This is my piece. This is my jam. I love gardening. I love being in the garden. And if you're able to have stuff at a higher level where you're doing less bending, less dropping it like it's hot, dropping down. I don't have mega knees, you guys. And so, you know, I'm telling you, it's just much easier to have stuff at waist level when you're planting it, when you're harvesting it, you know, all of that stuff matters. Okay. Now, can your back and stuff still hurt from bending over a little bit because it's still a little bit lower? Yes, of course, but it's nothing like getting all the way down on your knees or on your butt or just straight up bending over, planting stuff, weeding it, pruning it, all the stuff that you have to do within your garden. And then for me, the age thing, this will allow me to be able to garden for as long as possible. Obviously, the older I get, the harder it would be to get down on the ground all the way. And so my ability to be able to now even sit in a chair because it's a raised bed, sit in a chair next to it and do some weeding even as I get older, or a wheelchair or whatever, that stuff makes sense to me. So I think about that stuff when I'm planning out my garden, when I'm thinking about access to my garden, when I'm thinking about future gardens, right? I think about, okay, when I do some more beds, I need to think about the access, the space between them, not just space to walk, but space to get a wheelchair, space to get a walker, whatever it is, so that I can make it the longest possible. Wow. And the washer's going crazy right now. You guys probably can hear it. Apologies. Other things I like for soil type stuff is soil management is a lot easier. Checking pH levels, keeping it the same temperatures ideally is good. So soil management, soil drainage, much better. I mean, whatever you have in your ground around where you live is what you're stuck with, right? So you might not be in an area where you have good drainage for plants. So you plant in the ground, you do not get a good harvest, you can't grow anything, and it's because simply you do not have quality dirt in the ground. Your ground is maybe clay or more sand or whatever, and it's harder to mitigate that. It's harder to fix that where you build or buy a raised bed. And I really hope that is not as loud as it sounds on this video. Hold on, I'm gonna be right back. Okay, you guys, I'm back. I paused it because it was just going crazy. What's crazy is there's only like some sheets in there. It's not even anything heavy. So apologies for that, depending on how super loud that was just a few minutes ago. So getting back into it, your soil drainage, just super, super important that because of where you live, it's much easier to build a box or buy a box. Put a good quality dirt in there, and then, you know, boom, you're good to go as far as being able to grow stuff. And for some places, that's the only way to do it, right? Whether you're growing in a greenhouse, growing outside, where people live depends on, and how good of a dirt they have in general to start with will determine whether maybe you need to have raised beds in order to give your plants the best chance of growing and growing big and having a good harvest. Let's look at my list. Protect against animals. So I like them because they're off the ground. And so that does keep a lot of like just basic critters out of them, possibly cats. Like my cat doesn't really bother with the stuff that's up high, right? She might nibble and look at stuff that's lower, but she doesn't really, she's not trying. Now cats obviously jump, but she has not been one to jump. I haven't caught any neighbor cats. And other animals, right? Other animals that could just walk up and start messing with stuff, ripping stuff apart, eating it, whatever. So it's important. Obviously, you can do fencing, you can do all types of stuff to help do that, whether you plant in the ground or plant in raised beds, but it does help. It helps in general with some pests, right? Even like squirrels, for example, are huge. They're huge climbers, they're huge. They just love stuff and they'll just nibble all day on everything. And the raised beds, again, do help that. Can they jump? Can they do different things? Yes. But in my opinion, that it has been better when it comes to small critters, small animals trying to just easily come up and start eating stuff. Next thing I had was, okay, so I find that there's less grass trying to grow through, less weeds trying to grow through. I do very little weeding. I'm just walking through from time to time, picking a weed out here and there. And so there's much less weeding. Now, again, people will say, well, you need to put the weed cloth down and only do the little hole and then plant. And so, of course, I know that there's all the different things you can do. But again, to me, it's way more on your health-wise, on your back, on the bending and your knees, and you're just having to weed a little bit. Again, some people are like, why weed at all? Just put that stuff down. And then if some weeds come through, who cares? Just let them do their thing. But I don't know about you, but I like to keep as clean a garden as possible. Remember, every water, everything you're putting into that, you're feeding whatever's in there. And so if there's weeds in there and you're just letting them go, or grass, whatever, and you're just letting them go, like, oh, it's the earth, I'm just letting them go, they'll take over that. And they're literally taking nutrients, they're taking water, they're taking vital stuff that should be going to your plant that's producing a food for you, vice going to the weed. Okay, so think about that when you're thinking about, oh, I want to save the weeds. Save by picking them, especially if they're like have some kind of other use, like a medicinal use or something like that. And then I said, what did I say? I don't even know. Oh, prepping for the next season. So when you're preparing dirt, to me, so much easier. You're not having to till and turn over that dirt, get it ready, probably add some stuff to it because you've had some soil mismanagement as far as, runoff and different things like that. And with a box, your dirt is still concentrated, and it's very, very little effort to turn it over, right? Literally a hand tool, little rake, turn it over. I mean, the most management you're doing is taking out any kind of extra. If the whatever crop you had in there had a lot of root system, big root ball, something still in the dirt, getting that out. But turning over that is much easier, again, on your back and all that, but it doesn't take that much. If you start with a high quality, good quality soil, compost mix, whatever, then you're going to be just fine, and you'll be good to go. We have been doing bags when we lived in an apartment of soil, and my advice to you is find a local place that has dirt. Find a local place that has garden dirt that possibly, like us, has a mix. So what we did was we immediately went out into the public, started looking for a local place that sold dirt. Then we started specifically asking, hey, we're looking for a good garden mix. What do you have? What are your options? What do you have for compost? What do you have for, whatever? And they actually do an in-house mix themselves, and it's topsoil, it's compost, and it's sand. And it's the most amazing mix. I absolutely love it. My plants love it. Worms be growing in it and love it. The mushrooms be growing because they love it. That's a sign of good quality dirt. So it's just an amazing dirt, and it doesn't take that much to turn over and get ready for the next season and freshen up. And then you're just adding a little bit more just to freshen it up and give it some newer juice, right? Some newer blood, if you will. So again, to me, getting out the tilling that, whether you're doing it by hand, whether you're doing it by machine, whether you're down on your hands doing it, whatever, even if you have your pad, right? Your weed pad down, and you just have the holes, and you're just, okay, getting that dirt ready to go again so you can plant. I mean, that's just able, but again, you're still, it's just a lot, and you don't know what the management is of that soil and what you lost. And with a container, with a raised bed, you're holding most of that in there, and it doesn't take that much to prep it for the next season. Even when you're cleaning out beds and getting it ready to just sundown it for the winter, and you're pulling out craps and cleaning out everything and get it all good and nice, it's just super, super nice clean, and easy. I'm just a huge fan of raised beds. Now, you know, a con, if you will, some people, it's so expensive. Well, not really, because you literally can make raised beds out of any kind of material, anything. I mean, it can be new wood, it can be old wood, it could be different wood, it could be donated wood, it could be free wood. Go on Marketplace, go get a bunch of free wood, start making boxes, right? It just has to hold dirt in its capacity, right? Do it out of tin, right? Tin pieces, roofing pieces, you know, bricks, old bricks. You could do it out of wood and bricks. Like basically whatever you have, you can do these. And raised beds doesn't have to be, you know, waist high, okay, to get the benefits of what I just talked about. I mean, obviously I like the higher the better. I actually just signed up for an affiliate with some raised garden beds. I'm going to be bringing you a video here pretty soon on those beds that I got from them. And they're one of the reason why I love this company is because they sell 36-inch high raised beds. So they're very high. And this specifically is why I went to these people. But you can buy beds different sizes, 24 inches high, you know, a foot high. You can make them. Maybe you just have some old brick edging somewhere. Just make them into your, you know, your whatever box, your whatever size rectangular box it will make, and grow some stuff in it. I'm going to be doing, when I do that, when I pop off with that affiliate and show you the video with those boxes, I'll probably do another video with showing you my whole entire garden. And you're going to see, I have some little boxes, little garden boxes that I did just out of some old, like, cement edging, like real old edging from like the 60s or 70s, just super old. I was like, what am I going to do with this? I just got to throw this away. And then I was like, no, you can use this. And so I'm going to show you how I edged for my beans and for my cucumbers this year, how I did that with these trellises. So I'll show you how you do that. But you know, raised beds, huge fan. Another thing too is, you know, raised beds, they're open in the bottom, and so they're on the ground, and so those roots and that water, it doesn't hold. It's like a pot, it's going to run out into the ground. Roots of something, you know, if you did plant something significant that had, you know, a lot of root system, you know, it's got somewhere to go. It's just a very awesome way of planting. Not to mention, you can do different stuff in the bottoms of them because they're so tall. You can do all types of organic matter in them, you know, wood trunks and pieces of branches and you know, grass clippings, leaves, all types of organic material that's great for growing plants that you can put in the bottom of those. And you don't get that when you're just planting in the ground. You're just getting the dirt, baby, and that's it. And whatever happens to be in the dirt where you live, right? And so it's a nice quality. It's a nice composting quality, if you will, of a raised bed. So, hey, I know this video is not for everybody, but this is the direction of the channel we are going. We are going away from being fearful. I mean, I was never fearful, but going away from just the dramatic, the news, the da-da-da-da-da, unless it specifically has to do with prepping, and this is happening, so I want you to do this as far as preparedness and getting ready. Of course, we'll still talk about current events. It's impossible to not talk about them when we're trying to prepare, but we are moving the channel towards our homestead, our self-sufficiency journey, the things that we're doing in that realm. More gardening, more chickens, more of that stuff. Food preservation stuff is coming. Obviously, we're trying to move, so I'm falling back a little bit on my food preservation as far as canning and stuff, but we are moving forward in that direction, and I hope that you come along with me in the ride. If you are not subscribed, please subscribe. If you like a little bit more, you like to go a little bit more down the rabbit hole, you would like me to see how I speak more freely about things that I cannot speak about on here, you can come over and join us over on Patreon. The link, all those links and different links for different affiliates is down in the description box. If you are new here, welcome. I hope you stick around. We just try to keep it 100 over here. We really just talk about what me and my family do, and hopefully that helps spark your journey, your own decisions on the directions that you want to take you and your family. So I hope you guys are well. I hope you had a fantastic weekend, and I'll see you guys tomorrow on the next video. Take care. Bye.